I definitely get a lot more beat sales because I could have a beat breakdown, and that beat could have been on BeatStars for over a month, and I might not sell that beat. But once I do a breakdown and people see the layers, they're like, "Well, I need this beat. Like, where can I get this beat?" And I've had that happen multiple times.
Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so my mom actually made me take piano lessons when I was a kid. And, I wasn't into music at that time and I hated it. I was like trying not to go every time. And I eventually just quit. Kind of wish that I stuck with it because, I don't really know any music theory now. I kind of just do by ear, which I think is good when you first start out. But, now it's kind of like hindering my abilities. I should really be like learning. But yeah, I mean, my dad tried to teach me guitar. I didn't want to do it. I'm just the type of person who like won't do something if I just don't feel like it. So once I got interested in music, then I was just full force.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when I see you making beats, you're a FL user and you click, right? You don't.
No, I'm
play.
I'm an Ableton user.
Oh, you're able. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was really offensive of me. Okay, you're an
yeah,
Ableton
yeah, come
user.
on, man.
My bad. Let's stop the stream right now. Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're an Ableton. Forget that even happened. You're an Ableton user, but I see you clicking in your MIDI, right? Or are you playing?
I mean, I usually play. Like I know how to work around the keyboard and like I know how to make chords. I just don't know like what the chords I'm playing is. And that's like one thing I didn't like about producing is like the clicking in. That kind of turned me off of it. And so that's why I try and play everything. If I got to get into it, I'll click around just to tweak it. But I try to stay away from like the computer and just really stick to the keys.
Got it. Okay, so as a Ableton user, what are your favorite plugins, either virtual instruments or effects?
Yeah, so I gotta say my number one plugin is definitely Analog Lab. I use that, like once I bought that, I started using that every day, and I haven't stopped because I'm a real big fan of the vintage synths. I listen to a lot of 80s music, so I wanted to recreate that, and I don't really have any hardware synths here, so like I just want that sound. So it's really good for that. I gotta say I use a lot of RC20 for sure, because I like to make. I've been getting into making like 80s music, so I'm really trying to create the old school sound. So RC20 is great for that. And then I use Heat Up 3. I don't think too many people know about that one, but it's kind of similar to, I guess you could say, Nexus, but I think it's a little bit better. It's got a little bit more real sounding instruments, and then it's got some good synths too. And then I used Expand for a while. I think that's a Pro Tools plugin. I use that for a while. That has like
no, I got
amazing...
Expand.
Yeah. I know you can get it on other plugins, but I think it was originally a Pro Tools plugin. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got great real sounding instruments and synths. I don't really use it as much, but I used to use it when I started. And then Hive is a good one for modern sounding instruments.
So with RC20, when I hear your beats, it doesn't sound like you're overusing it. When I hear other people using RC20, I can immediately pick it out where I'm like, you really drenched it in RC20.
Yeah,
there's a lot of pitch drift. It's just, I feel like it's a little too much.
Yeah.
What do you do when you throw RC20 on something? What you tweak it a lot, you turn it down, you tone it down?
Yeah, so like there's a master knob, so you can like filter out how much of it you're gonna actually use. I usually do it about halfway. But yeah, I mean, I don't really use it as a main effect. I kind of just use it to get like a little bit more warm feeling, add a little bit of a little bit of warp and a little bit of compression and some of the vinyl crackle. But yeah, I mean, I mainly just use it on pianos and then drums. Sometimes if I'm doing old school stuff, they have like a drum break preset, so I'll be using that. But I usually turn down the effect a little bit.
Okay, dope. How would you describe your sound?
Uh, I'd say West Coast, funky West Coast vibes. Um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I'm really inspired by, 80s funk and stuff like that. So I try to recreate that. I would say maybe it's like a mix between like old school and modern. Because I started out doing all 90s hip hop stuff, and then then I started doing more of the modern stuff.
Yeah, what are your favorite '80s groups that you listen to for inspiration?
Oh man, there's a bunch. The Isley Brothers, I love the Isley Brothers. Roy Ayers, One Way, Earth, Wind and Fire, Kashif. I have a whole playlist on Spotify that I just be listening to every day. Like I've got really inspired by that. Because when I started out, I was just sampling. I wasn't cooking up with the keys or nothing. So I was digging in the crates, listening to all these stuff, but I never really like listened to it on its own. I would just only listen to it to sample. And then like a few years ago, I started getting into just really listening to the songs and enjoying the songs. And yeah, just very inspiring for sure.
Yeah, okay. So what made you go from sampling all the time to starting to create samples yourself? What pushed you to make that? I'm sure you still sample, but
Yeah.
what pushed you to get into composing similar sounds and then, you know, emulating the '80s sound?
Well, I mean, just the love for samples in general, and then also knowing that it's most of the time in the game, it's hard to clear samples, and I'm not trying to get sued. And I noticed that there's a big market for sample licensing, like the Rucker Collective. They have musicians who just create compositions, and then you can license them, and you don't have any clearance problems. So I kind of was just like, man, let me try this. Let me just make my own samples and make sample packs. And that's probably what started it. Is like I was like, I need to make more money, so let me make some melodies and put out sample packs. So I put out one sample pack, and I'm like, damn, I really just want to make stuff that sounds exactly like the 80s. So I just, I tried my hardest. I figured out what are the vintage synths, what are the drums they use, and just listened to a lot of 80s, got inspired, and now I can sample myself instead of always going out and finding samples and sample that millions of people have used and probably can't get cleared. So it just makes it a little bit easier.
What advice do you give to producers who are they just want to make better beats in general? They want to evolve their sound.
I'd say use reference tracks. Listen to like stuff that's on the radio, stuff that's out now, and compare your stuff and try and tweak it to sound like that. With the loudness and the clearness. Um, Invest in good plugins. There's a really easy plugin, excuse me, called what's it called? I have it somewhere here. I think it's Isotope. Ozone. Yeah, that's what it is. Ozone. That's a mastering plugin, and that's not really like real mastering, but it does the job. And I'll admit I don't really know much about mastering. I'm not that great at it, but as long as you can make your beats loud enough and sound clean, like you'll be fine. You'll be chilling.
Yeah, so your sound has evolved a lot, but what other advice, to expand on what you just said, would you give to producers who want to start learning more music theory and playing more musically complex compositions?
Well, watch YouTube videos. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. There's tons of tutorials. Um, and just practice playing. Like I'm lucky enough, I got a piano, like a grand piano downstairs, so I just go on that every day, just try to figure out chords. And if you're not very good at chords, there's plugins that can help you. Like Ripcord is a really good one. I use that when I have beat block, and it's kind of like you click one key and it has a bunch of different chords that you can play just off one key. And so I'll use that, and then after I get the chords down, I'll learn how to play the chords so I know what it is. And then just just learn as many chords as you can and just keep practicing, and you know, solo over your beats. That's a really good practice, or anybody else's beats. Try and figure out the keys, use your ear, play each key, find the scale, because that's how I do. I can't listen to a song and go, oh, that's C minor or whatever. You know, I have to play the keys to find the chords, but I'm pretty fast at it now, because I practice. But you know, train your ear. That's one advantage of not knowing music theory, is you train your ear a lot faster. So I think that's really important.
So when did music become your career, where you just stopped doing everything else?
So I got to say, it probably all started in 2018. That's when I decided I was gonna make my Instagram account, and I was going by MFB Beats as my initials. That's a terrible name, but I started out with that, and I think that's really where it started, because I started posting content of just me making beats and stuff, and more people were engaging and stuff like that, and then once I started making YouTube videos and putting type beats up, that's really when it started. And especially when I got my first placement with SOB, that's when stuff really started going up, and I got more beat sales and all that. So yeah, 2018 is, I'd say, when my career started.
So did it just happen naturally and you transitioned out of, maybe, I don't know if you had a job before that, but did you just slowly transition out of that, or how did you prepare to go all in with music?
So yeah, I had like one real job, and this was like, I think, senior year of high school. Um, I was actually working at a music store, so I was like a cashier. So it was kind of already related to what I was doing. But like, I knew even then that I was like, this isn't what I want to do. I don't want to be working a 9 to 5. I want to be my own boss. I got to figure out how I can do that. So, you know, I was working there for like a year, but I had to make money to buy my car. So I had to have a job. But I mean, it was cool. I was a cashier. I would help out with moving equipment, doing live mixing and stuff for bands. And then, I also got the chance to teach two kids how to make beats, which was really cool. But that didn't last very long. And then, I actually never really quit that job. They just kind of stopped giving me hours, and then, like, until I just never showed up. So yeah, I mean, I was just working on music. I was happy that I had more time. My parents kept pushing me to, get a job, as all parents would, because, they don't see the vision. So, I started doing DoorDash for a little bit, and that's a really good job, I feel like, for producers, because you can choose your hours on DoorDash, and then, you have time to make beats. The problem with like other jobs is like you're working all day, and then you come home and you're tired and you don't even want to make beats anymore. So, I think DoorDash really helped out, but I did that for a little bit, and then, kind of just time went by, and then my parents noticed I wasn't going to my job, and they're like, again, arguments, you got to get a job. And I'm like, fuck, like, okay. So I go out to, I had an interview at a hotel here in my town, and I pretty much got the job. But then, like, next day, I realized I had a studio session, and I was like, man, I'm gonna make money off this. Like, I told them, I was like, I'm not coming. Like, I'm not doing the job. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing. And I'm glad I did, because, everything worked out. And now my parents see the money coming in. They trust me and stuff. So, there's no more problems with that. Um, but yeah, like, once I started getting royalty checks and I'm showing them all the beat sales, they kind of let off, and they're like, okay, we trust you. So
That's interesting, because they're both involved in music,
mm-hmm.
and they still were concerned about you not getting a traditional job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were supportive of my music for sure. They were never trying to get me to stop or nothing. But, I guess they're old fashioned, you could say. And, they don't really, they're not really in the music industry. They don't really know how much money can be made until I started showing them. They had no idea of the whole producer world. Like, making money off sample packs, off drum kits, off royalties, off beats. You know, they had no idea that that's available. So once I showed them, they're like, all right, do your thing.
So for you, it's obviously multiple income streams. Is it
Yeah.
more making samples or is it more making beats, or are they kind of even?
Well, so the sample thing, like I only have one sample pack out right now, so that's kind of a fairly new thing for me. Um, but so it's most of my income is from selling beats and then like royalties.
Understood. When you first started putting beats online, I know you didn't sign up with BeatStars right away. Were you just selling them through email, or how was that working for you?
Yeah, so I was doing it all through DMs and stuff and Instagram and using Cash App. So I would just be posting on my Instagram. People would hit me up like, how much for this beat? And like that's a little bit more tedious way, but I think it was beneficial because I was talking to these artists. I was building relationships with these people instead of just sending them to my beat store and having no communication. And I think that was really important for building like a strong fan base because I was communicating, I was building these relationships, I was working with them throughout the whole time. So I was doing it all through Instagram, and at that time I was on YouTube too. So I didn't have a link to my beat stores because I didn't have one yet. So I would just have a link to my Instagram, and they would go there or my email, but mostly Instagram. And yeah, so I was using Cash App, PayPal, and all that. I mean, having a beat store is really beneficial, but like I said, I think it was really important for me to be talking to these people. Like now, I can't really do that as much because I got tons of DMs. I can't be talking to everybody. I try not to just be a robot and send my link and stuff, but sometimes that's how it goes. But for the beginning, I think producers should really be talking to these people.
Well, it is hard, and I'm glad you brought that up, because unfortunately, people aren't always the best at communicating with us when they
Yeah,
reach out.
yeah.
How do you prefer to be communicated with when someone's interested in working with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
Um, the best way to communicate with an artist, is that what you're asking?
No, I mean, if someone reaches out to you, because for example, sometimes I'll get a DM and it'll say something like "Let's work" or "Let's build," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Damn, man, I got to just ignore that because I have to ask you all these questions just to understand what you're actually getting at."
yeah, yeah,
So to me, that's just it. I don't have enough time to do that, 10 times
yeah.
a day. I'm sure you deal with something similar. So what's the best way for you to have somebody reach out if they do want to work with you in some capacity?
Well, I mean, the best way that I prefer is, like somebody reaching out going, how much is this beat? You know what I mean? Just getting straight to the point. Um, but, if somebody's just reaching out being like, let's work, I don't know if they're a producer or rapper. So what I'll do is I'll go to their page, I'll check it out, see if they're a producer or rapper and be like, yo, what's your budget? If they're a rapper, like, you need beats, what type of beats you need. If you're a producer, you can send melodies to this email. But the best is when somebody's just like sends me a beat. How much is this? Where's the link? And then, it's just an easy transaction.
Okay, so you like direct communication, straight to the point.
Yeah, yeah, usually. I mean, if I don't know them, that's
Me
how I
too.
want it to be. But if it's like an artist that I really, really like, I'll want to have a conversation with them. I'll want to really work with them, make sure they get the right beat and, whatever they need.
Got it. So you talked about your first major placement. Remind us what it was, and then how did you get that placement?
So yeah, it was a placement with SOB, Lil G from SOB. Can't remember what the song was called. But anyways, yeah, so that was actually through, it's actually a funny story. When that dropped, I assumed that they stole the beat off my YouTube because I didn't remember sending them anything. So, I had all my fans, all my followers comment on his post, yo, this is Foley's beat, this is Foley's beat. And like eventually they reached back and I was like, yo, how did you get this beat? And they're like, oh, through an email. And I went through my emails and I was like, oh damn, like I did send that. So actually how it came about was somebody had posted on their story send beats for SOB. Here's the email. And so I sent a couple beats, and that was like a year prior. And then that's why I forgot all about it. But so then yeah, that's how it came about. I sent the beats to that email, and then they recorded it and dropped it. And I had no idea that it was even my beat until
Well,
somebody
because
was
they didn't
like,
tell you, right? They didn't communicate.
exactly,
So that's
exactly.
bad. That's bad business on their part.
And that's mostly how it goes for all rappers. Like that's what you're gonna have to expect in this game.
Well, how did that get resolved? I mean, were you able to get money off of that in some way?
I actually wasn't. At that time, I was really, I had no idea about the game. I didn't really know about royalties or anything. And I'm not sure, but I think they weren't even making money off it either. Like I'm not totally sure, but I might have talked to him about it or something. But yeah, I didn't make any money off it. But it was my first placement. It's not that big of a deal. It got me a bunch of buzz, and it got me a bunch of beat sales. So it worked out in the long run.
And you kept that beat. Obviously, you kept up on your store. You didn't take it off.
Well, at that point, I didn't have a store, but I did keep it on my YouTube.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about better business then. You work closely with Cardo. Shout out to Cardo.
Yeah, shout out Cardo.
He's a huge producer. He's produced hits for Jay-Z, Drake.
Yeah,
a lot of Drake records, including the big one with l.dre. What is that called?
Cry Later.
Yeah, Laugh Now, Cry Later. He did that.
Yeah.
But he did a bunch of Drake records.
Yeah, he did God's Plan.
Yep, God's Plan he did, which is, I think that was one of Drake's biggest songs in terms of just the sheer numbers, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
So how did that working relationship start?
So yeah, at this point I was going heavy on my YouTube. I was really trying to get to, that 1,000 subscriber count and trying to get to that monetize point. So I was posting a beat every single day on my YouTube. I was getting up, I was finding the beat, tagging the beat, making the video, and uploading it every single morning. So what I would do, I found my niche, and I was doing mostly Larry June, Cardo, Payroll Giovanni type beats. So every time I would post it on YouTube, I would screen record it and then post it on my Instagram. But instead of just writing out Cardo type beat, I would actually tag these people. And so, if I'm posting every day, somebody's going to notice. So one day I wake up with a DM from Cardo, and I'm like blown away. I don't think it's real or nothing. And I check my phone, and it's actually him. And he saw one of my posts that I had tagged him in, which was just a type beat. And he's like, yo, this is fire. Like, send this to me. Let's work. I'm doing a project with Payroll Giovanni. If you want to help me, let's do it. And I was like, man, let's do it, bro. So that's really how the relationship started. And so I would just like every week send out melodies to Cardo and not really knowing where it's going to go. And then eventually, we did the first project, game related, with Larry June, Payroll Giovanni, and Kid HBK. And yeah, through that, I got linked up with Larry and stuff, and yeah, that's how that started.
So you were making Cardo type beats, and then Cardo reaches out, and now you're working with Cardo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy because people still to this day say type beats are not the way to go, and then like look around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that. I think type beats are still the way to go. I mean, people say the market is saturated, but it's like if you find your niche, which Larry June type beats and Cardo type beats is definitely a niche. There's not too many people who know about Larry June. So like, I think I was lucky enough to be good at that and choose that path.
Yeah, definitely. And then Sun Twisted made a joke about him having wings, buffalo wings, but I actually believe that that's the origin of Cardo's name. That's the story that Cardo told me, that he was at a restaurant and someone was like, "Oh, Cardo got wings," and that was because he was eating chicken. So
yeah, I think I heard that too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Cardo got wings. Shout out Cardo.
Yeah, definitely shout out Cardo. So what's your networking strategy when it comes to making and sending loops to other producers? Is it still just waiting for them to reach out to you like how Cardo did, or are you actively reaching out to see? Yeah, here we go. See, it's not grammatically correct, but we understand what he's saying. So neither you nor I are very original, Foley. Sorry to say. So
good.
when you're reaching out, I'm sure you're working with other producers and expanding your network. So what's your strategy for that?
Yeah, so for me, it just started out finding producers who were kind of in the same lane as me, and just DMing them and being like, let's work, building relationships, building friendships with these people. And, like, yeah, like, I built just a producer community of people that I fuck with, and just always working with each other, just sending out loops to each other. And, yeah, I mean, like, for like bigger artists, like, or producers, it's mainly them hitting me up or me reaching out and being like, yo, can I send you stuff? But I don't really do that as much. I kind of just wait till they notice me and then they want to work with me. Like, for example, DJ Fresh, he noticed me and, was like, send drums. So I sent him a bunch of drum loops, and that's how we started working. And yeah, with my sample pack, when I make sample packs, I'll put it up on my store and then I'll send it out to all my close producer friends, just for them to work on it and then advertise it as well. And that's how I got a placement with Jay Stalin. Is I sent a sample pack to DJ Fresh, and then he used 2 of the samples and got it on the album. So yeah, I mean, just finding producers and building relationships with them and just working is really the way, for real, because you both each have your own platforms. If you work together, people on their side are gonna come fuck with you, and people on your side are gonna go fuck with them. So it works vice versa. So I mean, yeah, building relationships with other producers are definitely helpful.
So, and I had a question prepared, and this is perfect timing, Bufo. What kinds of expectations do you have in terms of splits and so forth when you collaborate with another producer or send them loops and samples?
Yeah, so I always do 50-50 with producers. I just feel like that's fair. Yeah, I mean, just 50-50. Every time I put a beat on BeatStars, I'm splitting it 50-50. It makes it super easy. I don't want to be greedy with it. This music is about sharing and collabing, so it's like that's what it is. You just gotta share and not be greedy.
When it sounded like you said earlier that this started right away. So when you first joined social media, you started immediately posting short form producer content on Instagram, or how did that start with TikTok as well? Because you post a ton of content to all platforms, and it's usually pretty quick and concise and thorough as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I started out, I had the machine when I joined Instagram. I had the machine, so I was making sample beats. And so what I would do is, I would have like the drums playing, and then I would, play the pads of the samples. And it was pretty much just that. I just set up my camera and I was just playing the pads along, kind of like live beats. So it started out with that. And then, I just started posting mainly just the type beat videos that I do on YouTube. And then once I got a little bit more buzz, I stopped doing that because I felt like that was kind of bad for my page, because you would go to my page and you wouldn't see anything of me. You wouldn't see my face. You would only see just type beats. And so I stopped doing that. And then, I'm actually kind of new to the TikTok game. Like I had it for a while, but I kind of had a weird mentality with it, like most people do, thought it was just for like dancing and stuff. But then actually I got inspired by my boy Infinite. He's blowing up on TikTok, and he's just posting like simple little content videos, and I'm like, man, like I could do that too. I got tons of beats that I can break down. And yeah, like it's really simple. Like it takes 5 minutes to make a TikTok video. Like for me, I realize my best videos are the ones of me just breaking down beats, and especially breaking down beats for artists. that I've done with like Larry June songs or Wiz Khalifa songs. Like those do the best, and it literally takes 5 minutes. You just go to your project, you solo out the first track. This is what I did. I played these keys, play it, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, play the drums, and then play the whole thing at the end. And I've been getting great feedback. Like everybody, even non-producers, are like, "Damn, you make it look so easy," because it is that easy. So um, yeah, I mean, like really, you just got to get creative with the content. Every day I'm trying to think of more things I can do. I started this little series, super easy. Like it takes 1 minute for me to do. I have this little keychain um, that has a USB drive, and it has all my beats on it. So I realized I could plug it into my computer, or not my computer, my car. So I'll just get my car and I'll play the beat, and I call it like day one of playing beats off my USB keychain. And I'm just sitting in my car like with a dope view or whatever, and film for 1 minute. And I try to post that every day. And that's something like easy to do. It doesn't do as well as my beat breakdowns, but it's simple content that you can post every day and do in within just a minute. So it's like you just really got to get creative with it. And you could even start like long YouTube tutorials, really breaking stuff down. I've done one of those, but that's not really my favorite because I'm kind of lazy and I don't like matching up the audio and all that. But you could just really get creative with it and do different stuff for real.
Yeah. So what kinds of positive results have you seen from posting this kind of content long term? And then part two of that question would be, what are your goals as a content creator?
Yeah. So the positive results I've seen, I mean, on TikTok, it's really easy to get like a couple thousand views. It's super easy. So I think like everybody should be on that. But for like Instagram, I noticed one of these days I posted just a simple breakdown of a Larry type beat, and that got my Instagram blowing up. Like I was at 9,000 within 3 days. I was already at 14K. I don't know what it was. I don't know why it was that video, but like I guess the algorithm just was messing with me that day and really liked what I had going on. But so like I got tons of followers from that, and I definitely get a lot more beat sales because I could have a beat breakdown, and that beat could have been on BeatStars for over a month, and I might not sell that beat. But once I do a breakdown and people see the layers, they're like, "Well, I need this beat. Like, where can I get this beat?" And I've had that happen multiple times. And yeah, recently I actually had somebody who watched my TikTok. It was actually, I think his name is Cal Banks. I think he's from TDE. He's a producer from TDE. But yeah, he saw my YouTube or my TikTok video, and he DM'd me and he was like, "Yo, like, send some melodies for Schoolboy Q, send some melodies for J Rock," and just all off a simple TikTok video. So it's like you never really know who's watching, and you never know like what you're gonna gain from it. And you kind of just have to be patient and just let it go and keep creating. What was the other question?
What are some of your goals with this content moving forward?
I mean, really just to build my brand and build my following, and make more sales and just get more engagement for real, and help other producers. I want to inspire people. That's really what this music stuff's about. Is I love the feeling when I inspire other people, because anybody can do what I did. I'm just a normal person. Like I'm like anybody else watching right now. I started out just doing something. I stuck with it. I believed in myself, and I look where I'm at now. Like anybody can do it, and it doesn't have to be with music. It could be with anything. So I really just want to inspire people and just grow my business and my brand.
When it comes to leasing and selling beats online, what kinds of marketing do you focus on, and what has been most successful for you?
Well, I mean, mainly just making the content and making it interesting for the viewers, because you can screen record your beat and post it on Instagram, and you know, you might not get that much attention because it looks boring. You know what I mean? Like it's just a blank screen or whatever. Like I think the best thing you could do for that is put a visual to it. You know, you could literally as easily as going on YouTube, finding like some trippy visuals or something, whatever you want, something like the beach or whatever, and put the beat underneath it, and you can edit it on your phone. There's a good app called InShot. You can do it in like 5 minutes. But make it interesting. Have like a visual or have a good picture so it grabs your attention, and it honestly makes the beat sound better when you have something visually pleasing. So I mean, yeah, I mean, for selling beats, like at this point, it's kind of just like it just comes to me now. Like I don't really have to do much to like get get sales and stuff. It's kind of just easy for me, and it just comes naturally. But I think just, you know, like I said, finding good visually pleasing things that you can layer on top of the music.
Yeah, are you in a house with a bunch of other producers right now?
Yeah, my brother.
Okay, that's
That's
EB.
EB Tracks, yes sir.
Okay, I got it. All right, shout out to EB Tracks.
Yeah, he's right next door.
I'm in the chat. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, I got it now.
Is he in here? Shout out Evie.
Yeah, I've been posting his comments. There goes one. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it's kind of small on the screen, but I see it now.
Okay. All right, let's get a couple more questions in. So, okay, let's talk about EB Tracks for a minute then, because you said he had a background in engineering. I've noticed that even your
no, that was my older brother who was an engineer. EB is just a producer like me. I have two brothers.
Okay, one brother's an engineer, another brother's a producer. God damn.
Yeah.
Well, then this is about all of them.
Yeah.
I've noticed that even your older beats are mixed pretty well. How did you learn to mix your beats over time, and what? Well, let's stick to that. How did you learn to mix your beats?
I mean, you know, watching YouTube videos, but mainly just trial and error. Like I knew I couldn't have my stuff peaking and distorting, so I was like, what do I got to do? Maybe throw a compressor on it, throw a limiter. But yeah, I mean, just mainly using reference tracks, listening to stuff that's out nowadays and trying to recreate that. But also just trading my ear. Like I said, like I trade my ear from playing the keys and all that. So like I have a really good ear of hearing what's too loud and what doesn't sound good. And yeah, I mean, there's really no secret to it. I mean, I kind of just do it by ear for real. And at this point I have like a little mastering chain that's just EQ, compressor, and like a couple other things that's literally just stock plugins. It's I wouldn't call it real mastering, but it gets the job done.
Mm. What are some beat mixing mistakes that you've made early on?
Probably making the kicks and the bass too loud. You know, you gotta really figure out how to mix that together. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't too many mistakes. I mean, maybe just making the beats too quiet, not figuring out how to really make the gain louder and all that. Like, but there wasn't too many mistakes for real.
Oh, that's an easy answer. You've released a couple of instrumental albums, I believe.
Yeah.
One was Foley and Bad Experience, and also product of got it. And then the other one was product of the 90s.
Yeah.
Tell me about those.
Yeah, so I mean, those product of the 90s was with my boy Mellow Matt, and he's crazy at finding samples, so he'll always chop up samples and send it to me. And you know, we had tons of instrumentals just laying around, and so we're like, man, let's just drop a tape. And I think it's really important for producers to be releasing instrumentals. Like most people think there's not a market for that, but people like me, like when I first started, I was listening to just instrumentals. There's a whole market, like especially on SoundCloud at that time, of just lo-fi producers, and I had huge playlists of just instrumentals. So, you know, I love that type of stuff, and I know that there's a market for it. And so I think it's really important to build your catalog and not focus too much on placements, but just build up your own brand and your own music. Like, you know, you have tons of beats sitting on your hard drive. Like, if they're not doing anything, put it together in an instrumental tape. And you know, it might only make $13 for royalties, but if you have like a bunch of those, that all adds up, you know. And you never know where that can go. There can be people listening in who want to get it synced, or there can be rappers listening in like, damn, I want this beat. So it's like it just increases your chances of making more money and getting your name out there. And also just for the people who want to listen to instrumentals.
Yeah, that's a fact for sure. How do people follow you? We're out of time right now, unfortunately. How do people follow you and stay in tune with your content?
Yeah, just my Instagram is at foley.beats. Same with my YouTube, foley.beats, and follow my TikTok, foley_beats. And yeah.
Once again, I appreciate you coming on here and rushing from the gym over here.
Yeah, my bad for being late, bro. I appreciate you having me, bro. This is a blessing for real.
Yeah, and shout out to everyone in the chat. I'll be back same time, same place, right here next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about beat buyers, and we're actually going to have beat buyers on here to talk to you about their experiences and how you can sell more beats and communicate with your customers better. So don't miss that. Once again, Foley, we appreciate you. Shout out to everyone that tuned in.
Sir.
Thank you so much. And have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay productive. Peace, everyone.